Finland only had like a brief period of independence after World War One. Well, not even after World War. During World War One, Russia basically fell apart. One of the pieces that got broken off was basically Finland, and they got their independence, which they didn't have for centuries before that, because they used to be part of the Russian Empire, and before that, part of the Swedish Empire. So this is their first period of independence. There's been two wars, actually, for the re-annexation of Finland. First off was the Winter War, where the Soviets, after signing the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact, designating Finland to be in the sphere of influence of the Soviet Union, they decided to declare war on Finland, to annex them, but after facing severe losses, they decided, you know what, let's leave it be. But after that, the continuation war happened during the invasion of the Soviet Union by the Germans, called the Continuation War, where Finland they didn't join the Axis, but they joined the war effort against the Soviets, trying to reclaim the territory that they lost during the Winter War. Eventually, the Soviets managed to push them back, but they decided to just stick with the previous borders and separate piece Finland in exchange for neutrality. Why though? Why didn't they just go for complete domination? Because at the end of the day, Germany would die regardless of what happened. Why did they decide to refocus on Germany proper instead of also annexing Finland? And why didn't they, at least after the Germans, decide to go after Finland again for the third time? My guess would be because the Allies were gonna invade pretty much into France and into Germany, so the Soviets wanted more off of Germany instead of the quote-unquote more worthless land of Finland. But you know what, let's listen to an expert to see what they have to say.
Finland's position neighbouring the USSR was not exactly a comfortable one. From the days of its independence through World War II and well into the Cold War, there were leaders in Moscow who saw Finland's addition to the USSR as inevitable. Yet,
oh yeah, so they still thought about it even after World War II. That makes it even stranger.
Finland remained an independent state, which raises the question, why didn't the USSR annex it? So, Finland first came into existence during the Russian Revolution. At the end of 1917 as the government...
I did like the whole explanation. I might as well just not watch the video. I feel like there's I already told everything that you needed to know. Fuck off now. But no, I'm sure there's more information to be had in here that would be very nice for everyone involved. Also, look, empires, imperialism, dictatorships, bad. But you do have to admit, European borders right before World War One looked so goddamn cool. I loved Germany's borders, I loved Russia's borders. Italy's borders looked pretty cool as well. Austria's, it looked really nice. Anyway.
Government in the Russian Empire was overthrown by the Bolsheviks, Finland declared independence. Now, Finland wasn't exactly in a good place at this point, since it was undergoing a brief...
They had like 5 people in there or something at that point.
...civil war between the communist Reds and the non-communist Whites. The Whites won, and it wasn't long until some Finns wished to expand their new state at the expense of Russia.
That's some big balls. Imagine the sheer audacity to be like, you know what? Our neighbor, the biggest country in the entire world, what if we just invade them?
Which was still fighting its own civil war. By 1920, Finland and Russia signed a treaty fixing the border at this. And in the following 2 decades, things remained fairly calm, if tense. Joseph Stalin, who was now in charge, had for a long time wished to restore Moscow's control over the former territories of the Russian Empire, which obviously included Finland. Which is why, in 1939, after signing the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact with Germany, he sent an ultimatum to Finland. Move the border to here or face war. Finland chose war. And this war, the Winter War, was, to put it mildly, not a great success for the Soviet Union. Despite...
I mean, to be fair, they also didn't really send anything important into Finland as far as I know, right? The big chunk of them were just like Polish dudes that they liberated off of, the Polish Republic, and then they just sent there basically naked with very little equipment. Also, obviously, a lot of Russian troops, but they weren't really the most well equipped. they were so badly equipped, even the Finnish people had way more food and supplies than the Russian people.
Finland wasn't in a position to fight forever, and so it agreed to hand over these lands to the USSR and pay some reparations. And it was only a year later that Germany launched its invasion into the Soviet Union, and the Finns jumped on board looking to claim these lands. This war, called the Continuation War, went fairly well for Finland at first, and they pushed this far into the USSR. Now, when Germany's advance stalled, so did Finland's, and by 1944 the Soviets had pushed the Finns back to here. And in this year, the Soviets accepted Finnish talks for peace.
Like 1944, and they were only there. And I guess they were somewhere in here, right? During 1944, the Soviets at least? Well, it depends on which month of 1944, but still. Huh. Were there really that many troops involved in this theater that it would have made a difference in the actual mainland Europe's theater?
It would have been an effort have conquered Finland in its entirety, but Stalin opted not to. This was because it would have cost a great deal in terms of lives and material, and they were much needed in the struggle against Germany. There was also a concern that annexing Finland would mean that Sweden would become much more hostile with the USSR
that's the more likely reason.
In the end, Finland had to sign a pretty humiliating treaty.
What did they get?
Now on its border.
What did they have to do?
In the end, Finland had to sign a pretty humiliating.
Finland accepted that it's totally lame. Oh no! The USSR gets more land than it asked for at first. This is a learning experience for you. Finland will pay the USSR cash. Finland agrees not to totally continue this war at a later date.
Humiliating treaty. This saw it leave the previous areas that it had agreed to hand over.
I feel like that's more to the advantage of the Finnish, because if the Finnish were to declare war again against the Soviets, they would just get destroyed, because after Germany's dealt with, they do have a lot of units and supplies not tied up to deal with the Finnish.
To the USSR, along with this territory in the north.
So if anything,
it also
ordered
Finland to unban its Communist Party and place the Finnish leaders from the period of the Continuation War on trial for war crimes. So it won't exactly shock you to find out that the USSR was not on good terms with Finland when the Cold War was at its beginning. Stalin was extremely distrustful of them, and Finnish leaders were, frankly, terrified that the Soviets would make an attempt at annexing them. Some of this stress came to an end in 1948 when the Soviets brought them a proposal, a friendship treaty. This did several things. It stipulated that Finland was allowed to remain a free and independent nation, providing it didn't allow anyone to invade the USSR through it. It also meant that officially Finland was neutral, meaning no NATO and no Warsaw Pact, but unofficially it was expected that Finland wouldn't oppose the USSR in foreign diplomacy. So this policy was known in the West as Finlandization, whereby a small sovereign nation bordering a superpower does as it's told to maintain its independence, although Cuba didn't get the memo. Now, for all of its derision, the policy did...
Che Guevara didn't die of assassinations anyway, so it's not that it even mattered. He just died of old age fairly recently.
Keep Finland independent throughout the Cold War. In the end, the USSR never annexed Finland because it didn't need to. It would also have pushed Sweden into...
Yeah, but imagine the borders. They would look really good if they did annex them.
To the arms of NATO.
Like, I don't care about any political reasons. Who gives a shit? You know, all that matters is how cool you look on the map.
And lost them an agreeable independent voice in world affairs. I hope you enjoyed this episode and thank you for watching.
I
did enjoy this episode. Thank you once
again.
Bissonette, Kelly Moneymaker, Anthony Beckett.
Good explanations. I do like how they're very short videos all the time, right? 3 minutes and 40 seconds. At this point, I'm at 9 minutes in recording time, so that's always good. I guess I have a lot to say in general. I do like talking over and adding my own inputs in these types of videos, but I always enjoyed them nonetheless, and I hope you did too. So if you did enjoy them, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you did. Hopefully I'll see you next time, and hopefully you have a nice day. Bye bye.